In 1776, the United States declared independence from British rule. Since then, the British Monarchy is no longer in control of the United States. Rulers have since been democratically voted in to rule the country as president. We can guarantee that those stuffy school history books never bothered teaching you these quirky facts about some of the most powerful men in American history. I'm Jake the Voice Parr. These are 10 facts you probably didn't know about the presidents of the United States. Weighing in at a whopping 350 pounds, President William Taft needed a modified bathtub for his portly figure. A few weeks after Taft was elected into power, a company in Manhattan created a tub that was over 7 feet long and 41 inches wide. In 1909, a rather embarrassing photograph was published in Engineering Review which showed 4 men sitting snugly inside it. He was the butt of many jokes for his physique. When the president wrote a letter to his Secretary of War, Elihu Root, that he was in such good health that he rode 25 miles on horseback, Root responded with, "How's the horse?" "Oh, burn." Theodore Roosevelt was to deliver a speech in the Milwaukee Auditorium on October 14, 1912. Just as he was waving to the crowd from his car, he was shot. Not one to let attempted murder stop him, Roosevelt informed the crowd, "I don't know whether you fully understand that I have just been shot." He unbuttoned his shirt and began reading his 50-page manuscript riddled with a few gunshot holes. After his 90-minute speech, he agreed to be taken to the hospital. Historians say the bullet allowed his arthritis to affect him through life, but the incident ended up working in the favor of the Republican Party. He won the majority of votes for the upcoming election, and Roosevelt was thus elected president. No doubt about it, Roosevelt's hefty speech saved his life. If there is one ex-president who truly believed that dogs are man's best friend, it would be Lyndon Johnson. He loved to softly hold his pet dog, Yuki, by his silky ears and howl tunes together. When a photo of Johnson doing this was taken, animal lovers across the nation thought he was abusing his beloved pets. Senator Everett Dirksen even used this photo as a political weapon against Johnson, who was certainly howling mad. It was quite a shocking state of affairs when unmarried couples had children during the 19th century. Grover Cleveland just so happened to be running for president when word broke out. His enemies decided to sing a jaunty song to persuade people to vote against him. "Ma, Ma, where's my pa?" The song wasn't enough, as Cleveland earned his first term in 1884. Whenever someone sang, "Ma, Ma, where's my pa?" Democratic supporters would sing back the newly added verse, "Gone to the White House, ha ha ha." Hearing a newly elected president declare to the world how they will change the country for the better can be quite exciting for some. William Henry Harrison's inauguration in 1841 was anything but. His speech was 8,445 words. Unfortunately, barely anyone from the 50,000 spectators heard the 2-hour speech because it was conducted on a bitterly windy day in March. Harrison's speech was a killer. Literally. Since he never wore a hat or coat on the day, he caught pneumonia and died a month later, thus ending the shortest presidential reign in American history. He might have lived if he wrapped up warm and didn't spend so much time trying to bore everyone else to death. Technology can seem quite daunting and overwhelming for some, especially the elderly. Benjamin Harrison had a phobia of light switches. The reason? He was worried about being electrocuted. This is understandable. Technology of the late 19th century was not as refined as it is today, and there was always the possibility of someone being electrocuted by a switch that was poorly wired together. Sometimes, if the electric lights were left on, Harrison and his family would leave them as such as they tried to sleep. In fact, Harrison often relied on his helpers to flick the switches on his behalf. Well, it seemed like a bright idea at the time. Workhorses love to be productive, and President Ronald Reagan was no exception. When he was studying at university, he participated in 3 different sports and 14 on-stage plays. Reagan served as student body president, leader of the Boosters Club, and much more. The list does not stop there. Reagan broadcasted football games in the University of Iowa, then did announcements at Davenport and for the Chicago Cubs baseball team. Between 1937 to 1944, he was even a B-movie actor starring in over 50 films. Perhaps one of his most surprising jobs, before becoming president, was working for the FBI in 1947 as an informer, where he would share names of Hollywood actors who were suspected to be potential communist supporters or spies. And You thought your resume was impressive? Andrew Jackson, 7th President of the US, held a chaotic party that was open to the entire public. Everyone was told to entertain themselves, which resulted in crockery and windows being smashed, furniture being smothered in mud, and a lot of drunken brawls. Embarrassed, Jackson leaped out a window and slept in a nearby hotel for the night. That wasn't the only party he held. On his last night, he was given 1,400 pounds of cheese by the New York State dairyman as a parting gift. Jackson loved cheese, but he wasn't greedy enough to eat it all, so he held another party and served it to guests. That proved to be a bad idea. The cheese was trampled into the carpet and furniture, cursing the White House with a long-lasting, ghastly pong. Not the greatest of ideas. Forget it. The first ever president to be targeted for assassination was, once again, Andrew Jackson. On January 30th, 1835, Old Hickory, as he was often nicknamed, was leaving the US Capitol. A mentally unstable house painter leaped out and fired 2 single-shot pistols simultaneously. Both weapons misfired. Despite being the ripe old age of 67, Jackson leaped at Lawrence and walloped him into submission with his cane. The president was incredibly lucky. Historians say the odds of these pistols both failing to fire were 125,000 to 1, or 0.00008%. The odds of any leader rushing at their assassin to clobber them to death must be much, much lower in comparison. A number of people throughout history were said to have reportedly spotted the apparition of Abraham Lincoln within the White House. The most embarrassing encounter happened to British Prime Minister Winston Churchill. At midnight, Churchill was walking nude back to his bed, only to find the spectre of Lincoln standing by the fireplace. Churchill's bashful response was oh so British. "Good evening, Mr. President. You seem to have me at a disadvantage." He claimed Lincoln grinned and disappeared. Even after death, Lincoln seems to have retained a good sense of humor. Honestly, who wouldn't have gotten a chuckle out of that response to a ghost of all things? Those then are 10 facts you probably didn't know about US presidents. For more top lists just like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to check out our other top lists. Thank you very much for watching, and thanks for learning.